An ambitious vision for India's nuclear energy. That's how the country's prime ministers describe the outcome of his talks with Vladimir Putin. Russia is set to help New Delhi build 12 more nuclear reactors. RT's Neil Harvey is in the Indian capital.
Russia and India, of course, quite a distance apart, although that distance has proved no obstacle to the forging of trade deals between the two nations. A whole host of agreements have been made today. Let's start with by far the most significant of those, and that is a deal for Russia's nuclear energy corporation, or Rosatom, to supply India with 12 nuclear reactors over a time period of 20 years. 6 of those will go to the Kudan-Kulam power station. Now, this is a project the two countries have been working on together since way back in 1998. There's already one Russian-designed reactor online. A second one is in test mode, and this agreement now ensures further cooperation between the two nations. And this power station also promises to be potentially the safest in the world.
Kudan-Kulam is the first nuclear power plant in the world that's built according to so-called post-Fukushima requirements. It fully complies with all the modern standards, and many of our nuclear partners even come here to India to take a look at the plant and see how it's built.
So that was the biggest deal of the day, but plenty more worth mentioning. Firstly, Rosneft has struck an agreement to supply India with oil for another 10 years. Rosneft and Gazprom together have brokered an agreement with some leading Indian companies on future exploration of the Arctic shelf. And also a very topical one, this relates to diamonds. Russia, the biggest producer of rough diamonds in the world. India, the biggest processor of rough diamonds in the world. Now, previously, Russia was sending a lot of its diamonds to places like Antwerp and Dubai, which would then make their way on to India. Now they've decided that they want to cut out the middleman more often. So there's an awful lot of promise from the deals that we've seen so far, and I suspect there'll be still more to come.
Indeed, Neil Harvey there. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also said Russia remains India's most important defence partner. The two countries have signed a deal to build advanced helicopters together. So lots to talk about now. Then with Sriram Chaulia, Dean of the Jindal School of International Affairs in India, joining us live on the line. Hi there, thanks for being with us. As I say, lots to talk about diamonds, but energy is also on the agenda, isn't it? That big nuclear deal. What's that going to mean for both countries, first of all? This big deal there for the nuclear power plant, but also 12 more, maybe, courtesy of Rosatom.
Yeah, India is power-starved, and we are trying to diversify our basket of sources beyond fossil fuels, and it is quite welcome. The Russian assistance has historically always been with us on nuclear energy, and I think it's a very ambitious plan to have 12 new reactors to rev up more electricity as the Indian economy grows. So I think it's a huge contribution. Russia has always been with us on building our capacities, and right now, given that there is an economic recession in Russia, given that India is growing, I think there's a lot in the Indian market, the potential in the civilian sector that needs to be tapped. And I think President Putin and Prime Minister Modi have today struck the right notes by talking about this whole diversified range of sectors in which we can cooperate beyond the defense, which of course remains a cornerstone.
So it's a win-win situation at the right time then, as far as both countries are concerned, by the looks of it. When you look at the figures, the trade at the moment between Russia and India stands at just about $10 billion. It sounds a huge amount, but when you look at it world-wise, it's not. That can be significantly improved on, can it?
We are targeting $15 to $20 billion in the next few years. We have been slow in creating preferential treatments for companies of either side. And I think we need to clear a lot of these log jams, like non-tariff barriers that have held back the bilateral trade potential in the past. But I think the vision is there, because Mr. Modi wants Russian investments, and Indian companies are also eager to invest on the other side in Russia and to tap the potential, especially with energy and infrastructure. So, and even civil aviation, pharmaceuticals, you name it. I mean, there's so much complementarity between our two economies. It has not been realized well in the past. We have neglected it, and now is the time to go defense plus. I would say don't ignore the defense sector, but do defense plus and diversify. And that's how we can actually make it a stronger relationship. Because if you look at India's ties with China or with the United States or other great powers, it's pretty diversified, and it should be that way. And I think it's high time that we do it. Now there's a momentum behind the Eurasian Economic Union that President Putin is pushing for, And I think India wants access to the 170 million consumers of this new customs union, which is going to be inaugurated next year. So all these mean that Russia is never faded away, but it's actually becoming more important for us. And conversely, I think India and China will be the centerpieces for President Putin's pivot to Asia as a retort to the Western sanctions on Russia since the Ukraine crisis began. So I think we are talking about a Russia-India axis with a more contemporary tenor and a more current needs-based approach, because right now both of us need each other far more than before.
Yeah, and of course maybe a place to sell energy to in the future as well, to diversify Russia's sales away from the West if they don't want it or they don't want the pipelines. Looking towards India, looking towards Asia, Russia's saying, can we sell our energy to you as well?
Absolutely. There is this north-south corridor, international north-south corridor, transport corridor, which if we can work out is going to bind India and Russia closer, especially through gas. So nuclear energy is just a small part of India's energy mix. Gas can make a huge difference, or much bigger. And I think if we can work out the transit routes, the pipelines, the shipments, there's immense potential for Russian gas to also reach India, just as it's now making headway to in China.
All right, Sreem Charlia, Dean of the Jindal School of International Affairs of India. Pleasure to have you on the programme. Thank you, sir.